Sally Lindsay, welcome to the monthly IAMPRO with me, Charlie Brooks. IAMPRO, the monthly Q&A with me, Charlie Brooks and IAMPRO. Welcome.
Well, it's lovely to be here. Lovely to see you.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. I'm particularly interested, and we will get to it, on how your career progressed. Because I know you started out wanting to be a journalist, and now you have a production company and you write and you create shows, which is brilliant. So I really want to get into your brain about how you made that transition. But first of all, can we go back to where it all started for you, Sal? So you went to Hull University and then you went to a drama school, didn't you? What was that
Yeah, well,
experience?
it was an interesting one because I'd always been interested in the theatre. I'd always gone to, in Manchester, from Manchester, I'd gone to the Royal Exchange. I used to queue up for tickets, for cheap tickets on a Saturday. And so I'd always loved the theatre. And I've always been obsessed with television, especially light entertainment. And I'm very honest to admit that. And I've always loved really popular dramas. And from being little. So what happened was I went to university to do English, and I had a little radio show there, which was rubbish. No one listened to it. It was like, the clean listened to it. And somebody asked me to be in a play in my last year, and it was only a tiny little part in Arthur Crucible's, Arthur Miller's The Crucible. And I just loved it. I just loved the way everybody got together. It was like a one-sided football team. It was sort of like a team against, the world, and you all had to look out for each other. Now, it was a tiny little part, and it was just the Drama Society, and I auditioned for the next role and got the main part. And a teacher came to me, a tutor. He was on my film studies tutor, and he said, "Look, if you could write your essays like you can act, you'd be getting a double first. You really need to look about this." And I went, "What?" Because I was a size 14 with badly dyed hair and acne. And I thought, well, actresses don't look like that. I thought actresses looked like Audrey Hepburn. So I didn't think they looked like me. Anyway, it really inspired me. And there was a tiny little drama school in Stockport where I lived. And it was just acting classes, really. And I had sort of 3 jobs to go to these acting classes because I had no idea. Literally, no one from my family has come from this world. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know anything about breathing or learning anything. I didn't know anything. I just had sort of a raw talent, I suppose. And I got tutored for about 2 years. And most of it was quite good. A lot of it I've never used, but most of it was really good. I took the parts I wanted. And then I went and knocked on an agent's door. A local agent in Stockport, and he was the agent of Bruce Jones and Ricky Tomlinson, and and he was sort of quite famous in our little town, And I knocked on his door and I said, "I'm an actress and I'll need representing, please." And I think he was so shocked that he took me on, and then I got my first job about 2 months after that, and it was a tour. So
Wow.
Yeah, and that was it really. I've not really, that was it. And
What were the things you learnt at drama school and didn't use that were useless to you, do you think?
dancing.
Me too.
I am absolutely diabolical at dancing. I've turned Strictly down that many times because I couldn't think of anything worse. The horror of that'd be like me jumping out of a plane with no parachute every night. I don't know how people do it. So that would be my horror. I'm rubbish at it. I'm just absolutely terrible. I suppose when you start, I was 22 when I went. So when you start dancing at 22, you've got no muscle memory. You think, a lot of people in our industry have started dancing when they've been little, and I was not from that world really, and I was never part of it. So that was rubbish. And I mean, what I did learn was breathing was a really big thing. Projection was a really big thing. Breaking a script apart was a big thing, but I sort of got that at university anyway because I did English, so that was good. But it was a confidence builder more than anything to me. I think drama schools really. I mean, if we're honest, there's about 10% of us that actually work after leaving drama school, and it's a very sad statistic, really, because you wouldn't have that in electrical school or plumbing school, would you? It's a really hard industry. But what I think what it does do is give you confidence. And then I tell you what, the main thing for drama school was, I learned I was never going to be Cinderella. I learned who I was, who I would be cast at. I was very honest with myself. I was never going to be the big. I mean, I am a lead, but I was never going to be the big, babe kind of thing. That was not my. I was always going to be character, and that was a really good thing because I was very happy in my own skin then. I didn't go for those parts. There's a lot of girls there who were dreaming to be, the Cameron Diaz, the Emily Blunts of this world, and they just were never. That's never going to happen. So if you're very happy in your own skin, then I think that's your product, isn't it? And that's something I learned there very early, actually.
Do you think that's changed today?
With me?
With you and in general, yeah.
I've always been very honest about who I am and what I can play. Not saying I know, I've got my limits and I know what I can do and what I can't do. And I think that's a really good position to be in because it makes you very happy to do what you can do. I'm not saying I don't push the envelope because I pushed myself in so many different ways, like with the writing and with the producing, and I had no idea what I was doing then. But as an actor, I do push myself performance-wise, but in a way that I'm comfortable.
Right.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, really. I know my brand, I suppose you'd call it nowadays.
How important do you think drama school is for people these days?
It's really funny, Charlie, because 50%, I don't know if it's like with you when you were on set, but 50% of people went to drama school and 50% didn't. And I didn't really go to a big top one. So I went to acting classes, really. So 50% of people go, oh, God, I wish I'd never bothered because I learned the first day I went on set. Yeah. And then the people who didn't go to a big fancy drama school go, yeah, but it was so difficult because I had to do everything myself. When you go to a big fancy drama school, I assume you get an agent from that and you've got the support of the school and, and they push you. And I never had any of that. So it's really weird. I don't know what kind of an actor I'd have been if I'd gone to RADA or if I'd gone to Central. I don't know what kind of an actor I would have been and who I would have been hanging around because really, I think I learned everything the first day I walked on a set. Yeah. I think that's when it's like learning to drive. You know the motions, but you really don't learn to drive until you're on your own and you're out there. Yeah. And I think that's Coronation Street was where I learned everything. Without a shadow of a doubt, I learned everything about everything there, and still have lessons that so that was an amazing experience for me. Yeah.
Do you ever hold on? Like for me, I know that I spent a lot of years going, oh, I'll never be able to do that because I didn't go to drama school. I'm not clever enough. I don't know enough. I should know more about, Stanislavski and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Did you ever have an insecurity about that?
I think because I was a little bit older, no. And also I had an English degree. So I did know about
You were dead clever.
I was dead clever. I had an English degree. No, I wasn't dead clever, but I had an English degree which was really useful in language and text. But I remember and I won't name the actor's name. I remember we were doing I did a Shakespeare once. I did Much Ado. And the person who's playing opposite me, I'll be very, 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 very vague about this. I remember he knocked on the door of my dressing room and said, we're doing a warm-up. And I said, I'll do my own work. I'm fine, thank you. He went, look, I know you didn't go to drama school, but it's really useful for the performance. And every night he forgot his lines. Every night. And I went, does it help you remember your lines? That would be really good if that's okay. Yeah, I had my own, I used to sing and, get my breathing up that way. I had my own method and I was fine with that, and it was very patronising. So there are a few actors out there that wear that badge with with honour. But no, I don't think it ever pulled me back. No, I didn't really care when people bang on about that. That I always thought, well, whatever. I'm here and you're here, so that's great. We've both got agents, we're both working, we're getting paid the same. So let's crack on, see what happens.
And when it comes to like a new character, maybe we can start with Corrie, or do you have a process or a way that you approach a character? Or do you, because when I did Janine, I had no idea where she was going to go. I found everything in the moment. It was quite instinctive. Do you have a process?
think the soap's different. I think soap is I don't know like you. I mean, it's a long time ago now for me.
Yeah.
It must be, God, I think I left in 2005, 6.
Wow.
So it's nearly 20 years ago I left. But what I did, what was, when creating Shelley, basically, I had 7 episodes trial. That was it.
Yeah.
And the press, thank God, it was a slow press day. So they did sort of this double page thing about what will happen with Shelley, and then they had to give me a 6-month project. They had to give me a 6-month project, and I was like, oh God. And that's when I started working on. I think in a soap, it's a game of tennis, isn't it? You give something to the writers, they give you something back, and all of a sudden, within 6 months, you've got a fully rounded character that keeps growing, and there's no character, and there's no more potential apart from the long returning dramas like Madame Blanc or like Mount Pleasant. I don't think there's any other medium rather than soap opera where you can have a fully developed character, because you do it for so long that it becomes a very real person. And I think that's the beauty of soap. I think because people think it's you because you've developed this life at the side of your life, and I think it was a very useful thing for me. I don't think it gave me everything. Coronation Street, I'll always be eternally grateful for it, for that learning process. But how I approach a character now, usually it's sort of a mixture of people I actually know. I'm a bit of a cheat like that,
right?
So I collect people, and I collect little mannerisms, and I'm really sorry about that, Charlie. It's we're having the kitchen done, so
Don't worry.
The quietest part of the house. It's my office at the bottom of the garden, and it's still going on. Anyway, I do apologise.
We love it done, babes.
Oh God, I'm like that now.
Yeah.
I've got one nerve left. Anyway, so I sort of nick people and then put them together and create these, the character like that. And I think it's always a great base. It's like if I do, I'm never usually asked to do accents because everybody likes me doing a Mancunian one. But if I've done them in theatre, it's usually on somebody I know, as opposed to an Irish accent or an American accent. It'll be somebody I know, which I think is a much more genuine process. For me, anyway, it helps me.
And when you get a script, as an actress now, not as a producer and production, what are the first things you look for and do with that script?
It's usually, do I want to read the second page? Do I care?
Straight away.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think doing this for like 25 years, you can pretty much know what a script's can be like when with the first few pages, and which is a bit. I mean, I always finish a script. Don't get me wrong. I would never do that to a writer. I'd never go, that's rubbish. Or I'd say, can we do this in this? And I actually like this part, but I don't really like this. But usually I think if you find a page turner, then I'm in. And also I think if you care about the characters, I think a lot of there's been I've had many scripts where it looks amazing, on the page and the description of where it is, but I don't give a monkeys about the character, and I'm not. I don't really care about that. I need to know where they're from, what they're doing, why, and then I'm invested. Once I'm invested, then I can create it myself.
That's a big question, isn't it? We always used to have this conversation, EastEnders. It's like, are the characters more important, or is the story more important? For me, characters, because nobody will care about if they don't care about the characters.
It's like with Madame Blanc. Even though I spend hours and hours and hours making very intricate, like whodunit, they really only care about the characters. I remember that. Oh, that's the time, and that's the beauty of it, because you've got a brilliant, you've got a nice watch. Oh yeah, that's great, but you'll remember about the characters more than anything, and you can get away with murder with if the audience love your character, you can get away with anything really, because they'll follow you anywhere. They'll follow you anywhere because they're invested, and that's the trick. That is the trick to make that character invested. So sometimes there'll be the most outlandish plots, and we're both in dramas when you've gone, really? And then you think, well, if I do it properly, that's what this character did. You
Yeah.
know, that's the believability of it, because it's not what I would have done, but that's what this character did. So that's what the audience, I need to be able to take the audience with me. And I think a good script is about that, however wild it is. A very brilliant writer, Paul Abbott, told me once, years ago, this is about 30 years ago, and he said, everything has been done in the world. Believe me, whatever script you read, it has happened. It's your job to make it believable. And it's such a, as a writer and as an actor, both. And I think that's the trick, I think, more than anything. And I think that's what being a good actor is. That if you know, you can have the most amazing vocal technique, can have the most deep, rapturous voice, but if people don't believe you, then there's not, you're not doing your job.
John York used to say the same thing. He said it's 7 storylines, just regurgitated.
Yeah, it's 7 storylines. It really is. And you know, even there's alien, you can bob an alien in. You know, you can bob a talking monkey in. They're still the same.
Yeah,
they're still the same.
So can we talk about when the transition then happened? Because obviously you're still acting, and when did you get on the other side of the camera, and how did you make that happen?
It was an accident, really. I'd always had ideas. Like I wrote a little bit in university, but nothing that I could really write on about. And it was as you know, one of my best friends is Suranne Jones, and she left Coronation Street. She played a character called Karen, and we were always in, because she was sort of in the factory and I was in the Rovers, and we were always in together. And I'm convinced that's why we're best friends to this day. You know, that we were just sick of each other, so we thought we'd just get on. You know, I think that was it. But anyway, she left. She did a thing called Vincent with Ray Winston, which is really good. But she said, all I'm really doing is running around in a skirt, you know. And I was like, have you ever seen? And we used to meet around the corner, because she was filming in Manchester, which was great. And I was still in Coronation Street, and we used to meet around the corner. I said, look, there's this. I used to watch this drama when I was a kid called Cagney and Lacey with my mum. Now Suranne's 5 years younger than me, so she just missed it. Sorry, she just missed it. And so I said, look, these 2 brilliant women cops, and they are fantastic. And I said, why don't we try and write something for us that's right bang in the middle of the metropolis of Manchester? And what the brilliant thing about Cagney and Lacey was, it was all their problems were intertwined with their work, and they have to be twice as good as the men, but they still have to deal with everything that women have to deal with. And she was like, brilliant. So we worked on this treatment. And that was our first treatment. Yeah. So the treatment means for your viewers, listeners, fans. A treatment is a tiny little description of what the drama is going to be about. So it's like, it explains everything. It's usually about, I don't write treatments longer than probably 10 pages, including character breakdown and story and episode ideas. So that's what it was. So we wrote a treatment, and we learned about it. We didn't know what a treatment was, but we learned from friends, you know, friend writers, of what do you need to do. And we literally wrote it in capitals. I mean, we were so naive. And we went to Nicola Schindler at Red Productions, who was literally across the way. So we were in Key Street. Suranne was filming in Manchester City Centre, and then Nicola and Red were on the 3rd floor of Key Street building, next to stage 1 where Coronation Street is filmed. And we went and we took this idea, and she said, I really love this. And she went to a writer, I don't know if you've heard of her, called Sally Wainwright, who was obsessed with it as well, and obsessed with Cagney and Lacey. And that's when Scott and Bailey came to life. But so Scott and Bailey was a drama means that Suranne created. And that was my first writing really experience. But I didn't write it, I just created the treatment. Sally wrote it, and it took us 6 years to get made. It was a level of misogyny in the industry then, which was unbelievable. We kept getting knocked back, saying, there still is, Charlie. There still is.
Yeah.
I'm still talked down to constantly on you know, from men a lot younger than me who've never done the industry. That's constant, which always makes me laugh now. But then it didn't. It was like a case of, well, there's where's the male lead in it? You know, who's going to watch 2 women on, you know? And now everybody, you've been in, you know, we've both been in loads of female-led dramas in the last 10 years. It's not a, of course it is, you know, but then, I mean, we're only talking 20 years ago. And it was like, where's the guys? Where's the, you know,
It blows my mind.
where's the thing for the, you know, the women to look at? Like, we're stupid. And I kept saying women like to look at women who look like themselves because they associate. And I had great belief in that, and I'm right, and we do now. But it was just a level of misogyny. So that's why it took 6 years to get made. This massive series that was so successful. Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite comforted by that because I am trying to get something off the ground at the moment, and the process. Yeah, but I'm not a confident writer. Don't have an English degree, so all of those
That has nothing to do with writing. I've never used that for me writing. It was just for breaking. No, don't ever think that was. You know, you write from the heart. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. Most of my writing mates haven't got anything like that. You know, they've not even been on a writing course. They're really good ones.
Right.
They're just right from the heart. I wouldn't worry about that at all because it's you, your individual mind and your individual voice. Don't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
It'll come. It's like, I remember when I first started writing, it was very scary. And it was funny. I was walking the dog and I was listening to, I mean, the only reason I write properly scripts now is because I couldn't find anyone else to do Madame Blanc. If the secret's known, I've always created treatments, and I'm really good at writing a treatment. I can really flog an idea. I've got really good at that over the years, but I've always given it to other writers. You know, so I've attached, like, you know, mates like Jonathan Harvey or you know, loads of lovely writing friends I've got. And what happened was, I was doing Still Open All Hours over at Pinewood, and it was a really slow job because it was a sitcom comedy. So you basically performed it on a Friday night in front of an audience, and then you just rehearsed it in the week. It was really old fashioned. They don't do that anymore. And me and Vegas literally set up a trestle table, and he worked on one side, I worked on the other, and we just worked our little companies because we had so much time off. So I'd literally go to Pinewood. It was like an office in the end. And that one summer, the last summer we did it, I wrote Madame Blanc. I wrote the idea of Madame Blanc. I wrote the whole idea came to me in my head, and I wrote the world. I wrote her. I wrote what it was about, what I wanted to project, and I gave it to a company. My company was Saffron Cherry, but we weren't big enough to do it on our own then. So I gave it to Clapperboard, who had just done a Cold Call with, which had been really successful. And I said, look, I think this is for BBC Daytime. This is what I want. I want it to be BBC Daytime, really, because I love those things in the day. I don't know why they're in the day, because they're always brilliant. And I said, that's what I'd like. And he gave it to the commissioner, Seb, that night, and they said they wanted it, which has never happened. Mount Pleasant was 5 years sick. You know, everything in my life has been a slog, and this happened overnight. So I was like, but we need a script. And also, they don't do things singularly at Channel 5. You have to find a partner. So it was Acorn streaming. We got Acorn in, but Acorn desperately wanted a script before they were going to commit to anything. And I was on holiday we were going on holiday the next day. And I was like, shit, what do I do? And I must have rang about 10 writers up. And every single one of them goes, I'd love to, Sal. We had the money, you know, Clapperboard were going to give the money to write. And I'd love to, but I just literally have not got anything. I've got nothing. I've got no time at all. So I thought, oh my God, we're going to lose this. So I rang Sue up, my writing partner, who plays Gloria in the show. The well-known actress, Sue Vincent. And I rang up and I said, Sue, we're going to have to write this script. But we'd never written murder mystery before. We'd only written comedy. And been quite good at comedy. We got really, really loads of near misses. But we'd only written comedy before. So I was like, oh my God, can we do it? And I was absolutely petrified. But I thought, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to lose this commission. So I did it. And the first one was absolutely it was just rubbish. Oh, it wasn't rubbish. It was so naive when I look at it now and I think, oh my God. But it got us over the line. And we became the writers then. Wow. And then I just got good at it. And I was listening to listening to not a podcast, an interview or something with Dawn French, and she said when she first started writing a book, she was absolutely petrified. So I was in exactly the same position. She said, all it is baby steps.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden your legs get stronger. You just got to keep doing it. It's like anything. You've just got to keep doing it, and it will come. And it's there. You know, it's there for you. You've read how many scripts in your life? You know, when you think about it, how long have you been an actress? It's there. It's all there. It's just putting it out in a different way. And that's maybe my advice to anyone. Just keep at it. And all of a sudden, you know, you can do it, really.
What were the near misses?
Near misses? Oh, God, we had there's a few sitcoms, actually. We had a sitcom about a charity shop that really nearly got to the top. We had a sitcom about a Chinese takeaway, and that was me, Gok, and Paul Coleman. That nearly made it. That nearly made it to ITV. We had, oh my God, about 3 radio plays. For some reason, it's dead hard to get radio plays commissioned because there's only one slot, really.
I've heard that. I had a conversation.
And, you know, you think, because there's no money, you think why people are clambering to do it, I don't know. But yeah, it's really difficult. So there was 2 dramas me and Sue wrote, comedy dramas. We didn't make it. Nearly got there. So there's quite a few near misses over the years.
And how do you deal with that rejection?
Oh well, it's like not getting an audition. It's the same feeling. The problem is you can go again. I never give up on a good idea ever. If I've got a good idea, I literally, I'm like a dog with a bone. If I can see it, I can watch it in my mind's eye on television. Then I won't give up on it. And so I'll just and a lot of the time with this industry, me and Caroline, my business partner, Caroline Roberts-Cherry, is Saffron Cherry CEO. What we say is, we call it changing of the guard. So sometimes we get right to the end and we're nearly there, and then all of a sudden they leave and they're on gardening leave, and then somebody else comes in, and obviously they don't want it because it's somebody else's idea. It's happened, I don't know how many times. You know, we've had, call it, and I get an email going, changing of the guard. I'm like, oh God. Okay. Yeah. And it's absolutely, oh God. I mean, I was just reading in broadcast today about how hard it is to get stuff commissioned at the moment because there's just no money. We just lost so much money in the pandemic because of advertising, and nobody's got any money. You just have to find cheaper ways of making things, and or people just not commissioning stuff, or it's really difficult out there. It's difficult out there at the moment. It'll come back. It's difficult.
I hope so. I'm in the slog, so this is like an amazing chat for me to listen. What happens then as well, it goes a bit stagnant, and then, you know, I'm in the play at the moment and I need to wait for that inspiration to come again before I can push forward with it again. Do you know what I mean? Do you have like that? Do you have moments of procrastination and you feel
Absolutely. I think everybody does. You get to a point where you're sometimes, you know, I'll sit at my desk and Madame Blanc is a really, really high turnover. So we started writing it in 2019, and obviously the pandemic happened. So we had a year to really refine the first series. I think this series is better, to be honest, because we just got better at it. But really, we've written 3 series in 2.5 years. So that's sort of, you know, it's a 7-episode series, 6 with this Christmas special. That's a lot of writing to do. And I think a lot of the time when I'm writing it, we have got deadlines, and it makes you do it. If you give yourself a deadline, it makes you do it because you have to. Because I would put anything off. I'm terrible. I'd put anything off if I could. Yeah, I'll go and clean skirting boards, or I'll start rolling about, you know, some divorced woman in Texas or some bollocks. You know, I'll read about anything rather than do what I have to do. But the fear of that, you know, deadline is the best thing really for me, because I know I've got to write it, or somebody else will, and that's not happening. So it's just that really.
So when did Saffron Cherry come about?
Well, it was Caroline who made it happen really, and she would not take no for an answer. And what we did, I left when Mount Pleasant stopped in 2017. which we were all devastated about because we loved it. And I'd still be in that and not done anything. I just loved that gig. It was so wonderful. But it stopped. It got cancelled. And I was like, what do we do next, kind of thing. And Caroline, who I'd known in Manchester just as like bumping into her and stuff, she was a BBC exec, and then she set her own little company up. And anyway, so she rang me and said, I've got this idea for I was in Panto at the time. Where was I in Panto at? I can't remember. Anyway, it was
the Grove.
Canterbury.
The Grove.
I'd done the Grove.
Yeah.
I loved the Grove.
Yeah.
So sweet. And they haven't got a train station. I was like, why haven't you got a train station? It's ridiculous. But they're lovely people. Yeah, I love the Grove. You've done the Grove. You did, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in, where was I? Canterbury, I think. And she said, I've got this idea about doing I've got a commission for a documentary on Emmeline Pankhurst. And I was like, and I would like you to present it. And I was like, well, I don't really present, to be honest. And I was like, but I'm in because I love Emmeline, So I did that, and that was the first production we'd done together. And we did the whole thing on 30 grand, nothing. Wow. And it was amazing, and it was really good. And we ended up selling it back to the BBC, I think 3 times. Because they didn't give us proper money in the first place, but we got it in the end because we sold it back to Teach, we sold it to BBC America, and we sold it to BBC 4. So it was great, really. And what it taught me and Caroline worked really well together. And she said, "Look, I really want to move into scripted, and I want you to be the head of scripted." And I said, "No, I'll just be a consultant." And at the time, there was an investment company which doesn't exist anymore. Brexit got rid of that. They were going to invest in her, and she said, but they wanted a scripted department as well. And she said, I think you'd be great. And I went, no, I'm just an actress. I don't want to do that. It's too much. I'm just a consultant. I'll be a consultant because, I think I could do that, but I don't think I can, And she went, well, I think you can. And I was like, okay. So I went to the meeting, and then people were talking to me like I was a head of department. And I was like, I've not said yes yet, and I didn't really know what. So it sort of happened, really. And to this day, I still can't believe I do this. But I do it, and I do it really well. I'm very comfortable in. Yeah, the first few, it's really funny, Charlie. It's like a door you go back through. Yeah. When you first start doing it, you're listening to mostly men telling you, well, this, that, and the other, and we think this, and we think this, and usually really experienced. When you realise they're talking bollocks, and you have been an actress in this industry and know everyone twice as much as they'll ever know, and once you walk through that door, I swear to God, it's the best thing. It's so liberating, because you just go, you have no idea what you're talking about. I know what a returning drama is because I've been in fucking millions of them, and I know loads of people that have been in them, and I know what people want to watch, and I am very aware of what I think is good and is not. Some people don't think my stuff is. I'm very, very commercial and very popularist. That's what I do, and I'm good at that, and I'm very happy in my role of that. I will not be writing, anything that starts with a dead prostitute, or a missing child. That's not me. I'm not gritty drama. But I will commission it. I'll be in. We've got a few on our slate of those really dark stuff that's actually fantastic. But that's not me. I don't write that. But I know what people will want to watch. I know what I really do. And once you know that and have that confidence, it's just unbelievably liberating. And it's there in you all the time. You just don't know. Because why wouldn't you know? I've been doing this since I was 24. I'm 50 this year. Of course I know what I'm doing. I've never been out of work. I know what I'm doing. And and it's great. It's a great feeling. And then that's when you start, being listened to. It's really funny. It's a confidence thing, really.
Yeah.
It's a funny, but
yeah.
I have days when I'm like, I don't know. But
yeah.
Not a lot.
What you said earlier about identification, that's what I look for when I watch something. I want to see flawed characters playing the lead. I want to see, whether it's someone who is constantly in the fridge or it's got all those little insecurities going on. It's people that we identify with as we watch them. That's what's important to me. Do you know what I mean? When you watch something?
always find it bizarre in a lot of. I mean, there's some amazing American dramas, but I can never understand how they all look so stick thin and perfect with perfect hair all the time. I find it, because Kanye and Lacey weren't, and all of a sudden we're being fed these perfect, very young people at these high level jobs, and you go, well, that's bollocks, isn't it? And the great thing about British television is we have heroes like Sarah Lancashire who look like everyone else. We have leads that look like everyone else, and that's why we are the world leaders in drama. I'm convinced about it.
Sal, before we wrap up, what advice have you got for anyone breaking into the industry if they've got no experience? What would you say to them?
Oh, what would I say? I'd say don't give up. I think when I started out, in Manchester, obviously I got the tour, and then I got the Royal Family. That was amazing. That was my first television job. Crazy. But then I didn't work for a year. I thought I've arrived. Come on, and I got down to the last two for loads of things, and I just couldn't. And then they wrote Shelley for me, which was amazing. But I didn't work properly for a year. I did the odd job and nothing. And what I did do, I put my own shows on in Manchester. So I did a bit of stand-up, I did a bit of improvisation. It was all probably bollocks, but what it does is it keeps your mind focused, and you keep going. You've got to keep going. Don't wait for the phone to ring, because it never will. I've never waited for the phone to ring, ever. I've never, ever not been proactive in my career, because if I'd have waited for the phone to ring, we'd be living in a bedsit. You know what I mean? It's about you pushing forward and, ringing that agent, writing that script, putting a one-man show on, putting a one-woman show on. Even if it's just something, you'll keep focusing, and people will watch. Something will happen if you keep walking towards the light. And I think a lot of people just wait for the phone to ring, and I think that's the worst thing you can do, personally.
One question that people ask me all the time is, like, when they're just starting out, should they say yes to everything? And I never know the answer, because it's like...
Well, I did.
I did too. I did too. I think yeah, go on.
It's great being... I think I'm a working class girl. It's great if you've got, you live in a massive house and your mum and dad have loads of money, and you can go, well, I don't think I want to do that, because I think I probably would like to do that. And that happens to a lot of people. So they can be brilliant, and they can take the great lead at the National, because they can turn down, a Hoover commercial. They don't have to do that because they've got money. I haven't got money. I don't know if you were like that, but no. I haven't. So I had to take it. I have a choice. And I remember Joan Collins saying this once in an interview. And she said she took Dynasty on. She said she thought it was a pile of shit, but she took it on because she had children and she was a single parent and she needed to work. I think Dynasty is genius, and I think she does now, because she made it that. But you know what I mean? She had to. She didn't have I'll wait to play Desdemona in something. So I didn't have that choice. Yeah. That's the answer to your question. I didn't have that choice. If you got that choice, great. If you can sit on your ass and wait for the big part to come along, brilliant. That's fantastic. But I mean, I can never understand actors who belittle soap opera. I find that very, very frustrating. In fact, I would employ someone in my company who's worked on a soap over somebody else any day, because they turn up for work. They're brilliant. They're raw. They're instinctive, and they're really hardworking, and they know the lines. So over anyone, honestly, I would definitely do that, because
most of them know their lines. Most of them, not all.
There's the other one that writes stuff on beer mats. We know that. Yeah. They're usually still in it, so that's different.
Yeah.
That's different.
No, I'm the same. I owe everything to EastEnders. You know, what a fucking amazing platform that we both had, really, and what a learning ground for us. It
Yeah,
was,
and
yeah.
they're brilliant. You know, produce absolutely brilliant actors. Both dramas, the big ones do. I think. I think they
Yeah.
produce some fantastic, well-rounded, brilliant people, and they're you know, it's invaluable, that lesson. The lessons I learned there.
Mm,
Yeah.
totally agree. Sally, Lindsay, that was a beautiful chat and very
Oh,
informative. Thank you.
great. And whatever you're working on, don't forget to tell me what it is, and we'll have a look at it when you finish it.
We'll chat after.
Well, I'm going to Gozo tomorrow, but I'll always answer you. You know I will. I'd love to.
Yeah, no, in a couple of weeks. What I want
Okay.
actually is
When you
lunch.
finish, when you're ready, yeah. Well, like when you're ready, and when you're confident with it, then let me know, and I'll always look at it and go, okay.
That'd be amazing. We'll have a nice lunch, then you can come see the play as well. That'd be nice.
What are you in?
The ocean at the end
What
of the
you
lane.
Oh, that sounds good.
I know it's like, do you
And
know Neil Gaiman?
pardon?
Neil Gaiman, he's a writer. He did the
Yeah, of course I do.
yeah, it's his play.
Oh wow! Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Oh, good, excellent. Well, can break a leg and
Thank
all
you,
that.
Jane. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Good luck with shooting in Malta.
Thank you so much, and good luck with the play.
Big kiss, my darling.